Welcome to Collinwood is a 2002 crime caper directed by Anthony and Joe Russo.
Yeah, it stars, well, it's got an ensemble cast, including the likes of Sam Rockwell and William H Macy. Yeah, it's based in the town of Collinwood, and features a bunch of like petty criminals and the heist that they try and pull off. So it starts with a character played by Louis Guzman.
Guzman?
Yeah. And Michael Jeter, two characters. We see them right at the start and they try and steal a car. Unfortunately, they're not very good criminals. So Cosimo is Louis Guzman's character's name. He gets caught and sent to prison. While he's in there, his cellmate, who's a lifer, tells him about a safe in a jewellery store that he knows how to get to, because he basically built the wall, and it's sort of a fake wall that you can break through from the next door apartment into the room where the safe is kept. I should say this film has lots of sort of lingo that is sort of unique to this film. So this is his Bellini, which is like the heist to end all heists. So he hears about this and he tells his girlfriend about it and says, I need a Malinsky, which is basically somebody who will take the blame for his crime for money. So she then goes off and tries to find somebody, and that's how we then get introduced to all the other characters. So we have Isaiah Washington and Andrew Davoli and William H Macy and Sam Rockwell and Michael Jeter again. I mean, that's who she goes to first, and he doesn't want to. No, she goes to him first, and he doesn't want to do it. So they then gradually go to more and more people to try and get somebody who's going to be the Malinsky. Basically. So they can then do this heist on this jewellery store. But, they're all a bit inept and rubbish, a bit criminals. And, of course, then there's too many people involved and everyone wants a cut of this money. And, it kind of goes on from there. Sam Rockwell gets involved. He's sort of an amateur boxer, but he then gets knocked out with one punch. So then he just, after saying no, I'm not interested, he suddenly is, yeah, I'll do it. But it goes on from there, and but you can tell from the start they're all a bit crap.
A bit, yeah.
Nothing really goes to plan. And then you've also got a small role from George Clooney in there as a safecracker, yeah, and a few other characters as well. That you've got Jennifer Esposito as. Basically, so some people move into this empty apartment, these two old ladies and their niece, which she plays. So they then have to try and find their way into this now occupied apartment so they can carry out this heist. And the bad luck carries on from there, basically.
Yes, it does.
It's
unfortunate.
Yes.
So, well, first we should note that this film is actually a remake.
Yeah.
It's a remake of an Italian movie called, the English translation is Big Deal on Madonna Street. I'm not going to pronounce the original Italian name, but apparently it's a masterpiece of Italian cinema. It's classic kind of crime farce, they title it. A farce being a fast comedy where lots of crazy things happen, and in this country, farce was always kind of more to do with there was more sexual things going on, sex comedy kind of thing. I haven't seen the original of this, so I have no idea what that's like. But so this is a straight remake. I'd never seen this before. I guess we're doing it because the Anthony and Joe Russo have just directed Endgame. Is that right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of hot on everyone's.
Yeah, it's currently obliterating all box office records. So I think they've said they're now done with the Marvel films, but they've done two Captain America films and the last two Avengers films.
They personally are done with it.
Yeah.
Not the Marvel.
No,
they're not done with
that'll
Marvel.
never be done.
Right. Okay.
So that'll go on forever.
But
no, they as far as at the moment that they don't want to do it anymore, which is understandable. They directed 4 on the trot pretty much, so they want to do other things, unsurprisingly. This is sort of, I think this is their second full-length feature.
Right.
Back from early on in their career.
What was the first film they made?
Pieces, it was called, back in '97.
Okay.
It's only a small little independent film.
No, I didn't know much about them, I have to say.
I mean, they've done TV as well. They've directed episodes of Community and Arrested Development as well.
Right.
years. And you know, a couple of other films like You, Me and Dupree, the Owen Wilson comedy.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, their last sort of few years have obviously been focused on Marvel stuff.
Obviously. So yeah, so I watched it. I didn't really go for it, which is odd because I thought it's got an amazing cast. I mean, it has, and I have, and I think the cast do a really good job.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I mean, I've always big fan of Sam Rockwell, William H Macy, of course. Louis Guzman's always great.
Yep.
Michael Jeter, who we covered in The Fisher King. In fact, he was in The Green Mile with Sam Rockwell.
He was, yeah.
Which Patricia Clarkson, who was in this film, was also in.
She was also in that, yeah.
So, they're all really good actors. I think I know why I didn't go for it. I think, there's a lot of plot. And like I said, if it's a farce, it's kind of farcical. Farces tend to have lots of things going on in them. And I felt almost there was too much going on. The comedy, it didn't make me laugh. It felt to me that kind of almost trying too hard to be funny at times. And I didn't really believe in the characters too much. I didn't, yes, they're petty criminals. But petty criminals can be a lot of fun in movies, and for me, this time, I just didn't believe in any of them, and it just felt a bit kind of baggy from that point of view. I tell you what it did remind me of, and I think this is, and like I said, I haven't seen the original Italian movie, but from reading a few things online about it, it sounds like, obviously, this film looks quite weird. There's quite a strange design to it.
I thought it was quite European. I thought
it feels European.
Yeah.
A lot of the music feels quite. In fact, the music doesn't feel Italian. The music feels quite French at times.
Yeah.
And there's a strange look to it. The colours are a bit off, and not that that's a bad thing.
I'm sure all these things are probably intentional, aren't they?
I'm sure they are intentional. Yeah, and all the characters' names, they've all got Italian names, and some of them aren't clearly Italian. So it's almost like they've lifted quite a lot from the original film, but in doing that and putting it in a kind of slightly modern setting, it didn't really work in that way. Do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean. Yeah, I think I like the fact that it is kind of in its own little world, which is not quite normal.
Yeah.
And obviously they've got all these little sayings like the Malinskis and the Bellini and things like that, and other stuff, which gives it its own sort of unique little voice, and you kind of have to pick up what they're talking about. And like you say, the cast is great, and I agree. It doesn't. I think maybe the characters aren't quite fleshed out enough, and it takes a long time to get where it's going.
Yeah,
and when you get there, maybe the payoff isn't that great. But I think obviously it's quite. I think it gets compared to Coen films, unsurprisingly.
Well, I was going to say, because what it actually reminded me of the most is when the Coens remade The Ladykillers. So obviously The Ladykillers is a great British comedy starring Alec Guinness and Peter Sellers in there. And it's a really great kind of British crime caper film. And then the Coen brothers remade it in the early 2000s, possibly around the same time as this one. Yeah. And it just fell flat on its face. It just didn't work at all.
No, it wasn't great.
Obviously they took that exact story. They didn't really change anything about it, and they plonked it in kind of a lower class American. Again, similar to this, in a kind of more kind of urban, almost black area of America, and it just didn't work at all. I thought it was terrible, and I didn't think this film was terrible. And again, I haven't seen the original of this one to really compare the two together, but it just feels like possibly they've done the same thing with this one to its original as the Coen brothers did with Ladykillers to its own original one. And sometimes I feel if you're going to remake a film, obviously we're not the biggest fan of the remakes, but they have done some good remakes in the past.
Yeah, I think the original was from the 50s, so enough time had passed where
exactly,
it's not like, why are you remaking this already? It's not like it was 10 years ago, so give it a pass for that. But
I should perhaps seek out the original one just to see, just to compare the two together. I did not think this was terrible at all. I just felt its pacing was a bit off, and just kind of, and because of that, I started to get a bit bored with it. But, it's a shame because I really like Sam Rockwell. I think he's such a great actor.
I think that's without that cast, it would fall. It
would have been
flat,
terrible.
But the cast, really, do help you maintain your interest in it, and without that, I think it would fall a bit flat.
It's got some. George Clooney's great in there. He's got a very small role. Apparently, he shot his role in 4 days. and produced it with Steven Soderbergh.
Yeah, he did. I mean, at the time, obviously, they'd just done the Ocean's 11 remake, because they were like kings of the comedy crime caper, weren't they? So
they were.
Yeah, so it's, I guess it takes stuff from, from their, them producing it as well. It gets, a little bit of the Ocean's vibe as well. But it's, Ocean's is more of a straight film, whereas this is obviously, like you say, it's a little bit off.
I mean, it's definitely it's of the quirky side. It's definitely kind of caricatures as opposed to characters. They're kind of cartoon-like to a point. I mean, it's like I said, I didn't think it was terrible, and I really like the cast. And it's got some nice moments. It's got some quite nice moments in there actually, and always a fan of. I mean, the whole thing with William H Macy carrying around the baby for like the entire film is actually it's quite amusing. And like I said, I think Rockwell and
I think that's my favourite part is is the start where they are introducing each of these characters. I think they all get a great introduction. Like he's got a shop, hasn't he? And his wife's gone to prison for fraud, and he's got no money.
Everyone's in prison.
Yeah, and he's painting these glasses, isn't he?
Yeah.
I can't remember what he's painting on them, but then he knocks over the thing and they all smash.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's great little introductions to each character. But once it all sort of they're together, it kind of it's even though it's not that long, it's only sort of just under 90 minutes, I think.
Yeah, it's 86 minutes.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. It just sags a little bit before the sort of the last 20 minutes where it picks up again. No, it's like it's not perfect, but it's.
I think it's one of those films. Obviously it's an early film from these two.
Yeah,
and it shows some potential.
Yeah,
it shows some interesting ideas, but it just doesn't. For me, it didn't work completely. Obviously, those guys have gone on to have huge success.
Yes.
Whether you like those films, I don't dislike the Marvel films. Just I'm just not a huge comic book fan. That's all. It's put together, and it's clearly been thought out, and they've put it together well. And it does kind of come to an end, and all the plot lines meet at the end as they should, I suppose. Yeah, I think it was like you said, the characters weren't developed enough. And I just, as soon as you lose interest in people, you just bail out. Really.
No, when I was watching, I mean, obviously I've seen it before, but I remember not being that, But I think probably because it was marketed as like a Coen-esque film, and then of course you had Steven Soderbergh and Clooney attached, so you're thinking, okay, this is going to be like Coen's crossed with Ocean's 11. But it wasn't. Yeah. It's not really like that.
No.
And it's much odder and and strange compared to those films. So yeah, I remember thinking, oh, actually, this isn't what I expected. So
that's the trouble with marketing.
Yeah, quite. I mean, I think in some of the posters, I think particularly in the UK, they put like Clooney front and centre. Right. Well, he's only in it for 5 minutes at the most, isn't he?
Yeah, sure.
So, but classic marketing ploy there to get bums on seats. Exactly. Look, George is in it. I enjoyed it more this time around, but yeah, it's still not perfect. But yeah, it's a fun little oddity. I think that is worth checking out if you're into those sort of films. So
it's 2002. Do you? Is it Blu-ray or DVD you've got of this?
It's DVD. I don't think there is any Blu-rays that I'm aware of anywhere, because it is quite a small movie.
So it's quite obscure.
Yeah, and
classic cardboard case.
I know. Yeah, showing its age there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's available on DVD in the States and the UK, and no doubt other countries as well. Not particularly hard to find, I don't think. It's not something I ever see broadcast on TV. Might be streaming. I checked Amazon. I think it wasn't on there, so I don't think anyway. So yeah, but not hard to find if you really want to give it a watch. So there's a few features on there, but nothing particularly exciting.
Great.
It does explain some of the words like the
Malinsky.
Yeah, the Malinsky and the Bellini.
Right, okay. Yeah, so the most delightfully daffy crime comedy since Fargo, so there you go, straight away.
Yeah.
Comparing it to the Coen brothers.
Exactly, yeah.
And, I mean, even the titling looks... I mean, I suppose, actually, if there was any Coen brothers that I'd even, say it was closest to, that would be Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Yeah.
Because it's got that same... That's quite strange and quirky.
It is, yeah.
It's almost set in obviously that's set in the 30s, but it feels like it's set in a slightly,
a different sort of present day, isn't it? Or well, the present
that is
day
in the past, but it's kind of, it just feels slightly surreal, slightly odd.
I mean, like in the prison, everyone wears like stripy
they've all got
jumpsuits, don't they?
Exactly,
which makes it look older.
And I think that's why it kind of also reminded me of Delicatessen. Just that kind of, it's obviously Delicatessen is a modern world, but it feels like it's maybe in a kind of past modern world, if you want, maybe another universe where things are flipped up on side their head, or something. So that was Welcome to Collinwood, and as always, if you enjoyed the video, let us know in the comments below.
Yep, hit the subscribe button up there if you've enjoyed what you've watched, and don't forget to hit the bell to get notifications. Come and find us on Twitter and Facebook, and there's some other videos to check out over there. And come back next week for another one.